I am Daniel Foster, 45 years old, senior engineer at NovaTech Solutions in Seattle. I've spent 15 years here, buried in lines of code and data charts. But Mark Sullivan, my boss, thrust me into the NovaAI project presentation, not to honor me, but to humiliate me. He called it an opportunity, told everyone I'd stumble, fail. I didn't. I stood there, the internal board displaying my name wrong, colleagues giggling, a mocking text chain spreading on phones, and I still stepped forward. Mark thought he was setting me up for defeat. He didn't know he'd built me an audience. As I walked through NovaTech's glass doors, I felt a chill, not from Seattle's drizzling rain pattering outside, but from how the hallway seemed to narrow as I appeared. I kept my head down, clutching my laptop bag tightly, gripping the strap harder than usual. The glossy tile floor, full of familiar scratches, never stared back like my colleagues did. People were whispering about something. Posters advertising the NovaAI presentation hung everywhere in the lobby, glowing with flashy fonts, as if we were at a TED conference, not a company meeting room. I didn't pay much attention. Why should I? I hadn't signed up for anything.
Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video.
But then a girl from marketing, someone I didn't know, passed by and muttered with a smirk, "Can't wait for your big show, old engineer." I blinked. Old engineer. I followed the whispers to the internal notice board, a large LED screen in the lobby. Colleagues were gathered, chuckling, nudging each other. As they dispersed, I stepped forward. On the screen, clear as day, Danny Fosty, lead presenter for NovaAI project. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. My stomach felt like it dropped to the basement. A few people behind me covered their mouths, laughing. And then, Claire Morgan appeared leaning against the wall, arms crossed, standing beside two younger colleagues. She looked straight at me, her smile warm, almost gentle. "Congratulations, Danny," she said, her voice sweet as sugar. "Everyone deserves their moment, right?" Her tone was kind, but I heard the mockery beneath it. I stood frozen, my hands trembling at my sides. For a second I wanted to run to IT, demand they remove my name from the list, but I didn't move. Behind me, someone whispered, finally stepping out from his desk corner. "Huh?" The soft laughter, just loud enough, pierced my back like a thumbtack. I turned away before my face betrayed my emotions. That whole day, I barely spoke. I kept myself quiet, careful, observing. At home, Sarah Thompson, my wife, had dinner ready when I walked in. Lily Foster, my 16-year-old daughter, was home early, beaming after basketball practice. She told a funny story about a soda can spraying a teacher's shirt. Sarah laughed hard, like it was the best thing she'd heard all month. Lily's voice filled the kitchen like background music. Perfect grades, basketball team winning regionals, plans to run for student council. Sarah poured her more water, not glancing my way. After dinner, I loaded the dishwasher in silence, while Lily went upstairs. Sarah graded papers. She's a part-time teacher. I climbed the stairs, my heart beating harder than usual. In my study, the desk lamp cast a soft glow, papers slightly messy. Thomas Bennett's notebook, my old mentor's, lay open on the desk, its pages blank. I sat down, picked up a pen, and wrote, "Mark did this to humiliate me." I stared at the words for a long time. Not because I doubted them. I believed them. I just didn't know what came next. No anger. I closed the notebook, lay down, hands clasped over my stomach, eyes on the ceiling fan spinning quietly. Everything in this house seemed to spin. Stories, attention, affection, but it never stopped at me. And now I had to step onto a stage I never wanted. They thought I'd fail. That thought clung to me, like a song I couldn't stop hearing in my head. The next morning, I arrived at the office earlier than usual, hoping the internal board had been fixed, hoping Danny Fosty was just a stupid mistake. NovaTech's hallway was quiet, only the hum of the janitor's vacuum and murmurs from the break room. I walked slowly, my laptop bag heavier than usual. But when I reached the LED screen in the main lobby, all hope burst like a bubble pricked by a stone. My name was still there, Danny Fosty, lead presenter for NovaAI project. now printed on paper programs, neatly arranged on the reception desk. Someone had highlighted Danny in marker with a small star beside it, as if this were a comedy show, not a meeting deciding millions in investments. I entered the common meeting room, where colleagues gathered before work. On each table was a program, sharply printed, NovaTech's logo gleaming in the top corner. I sat quietly, trying not to draw attention, but Claire Morgan, as always, wouldn't let me be. She picked up a program, flipped through it, and chuckled, loud enough for the room to hear. "You're brave, Danny," she said, her voice echoing in the quiet space. "Doing a comedy presentation takes guts. You know it's comedy, right?" I didn't respond. She tossed the program onto my table, a gentle but mocking gesture. I glanced down. Next to Danny Fosty was the line NovaAI presentation. Comedy roll. Someone had drawn a broken computer icon, with big round eyes, and an exclamation mark, as if I were a clown who'd wandered into the boardroom. The murmurs around me faded, like someone turned down the volume, leaving only my heartbeat pounding. Don't react. Don't let them see they got to you. I folded the program slowly, carefully, like it was something fragile. I slipped it into the front pocket of my bag, unhurried, unblinking, just slow and precise. Mr. Harris, the head of engineering, walked in with a coffee mug, glancing at me, then at the colleagues covering their mouths, laughing. He saw the program in my hand. He saw the smirks. He said nothing. A guy from finance, I think Ethan, spoke up. "This is a bit much, isn't it?" Harris just shrugged, saying, "It's just a joke. Don't make it a big deal." That's when I realized it wasn't just Claire or Mark. Even the older ones, the ones who should have been fair, saw me as a joke, something disposable. The day passed in a fog. I didn't speak unless called on. I didn't eat lunch. I didn't check my phone, though I knew the group chat was probably full of laughing emojis. When the end of day bell rang, I waited until the hallway was nearly empty before leaving. Seattle's air was damp, smelling of wet concrete and spring pollen. Back home, chaos greeted me. Lily Foster, my daughter, stood in the living room, twirling in her new basketball uniform, showing off to friends over the phone. "This is the coolest," one friend squealed, snapping photos of Lily. I tried to slip by unnoticed. In my study, the light had dimmed. I didn't turn on the lamp. I sat on the edge of the chair, pulling the program from my bag. The paper was still flat, uncreased, untorn. In the bottom corner, I wrote 5 capital letters in black pen. He said to humiliate first. I folded the paper, not gently, but sharply, like turning it into something dangerous, undeniable. I opened Thomas Bennett's notebook, my old mentor, now gone. His handwriting was still clear. "When they laugh, let your work speak." I added one line. "I won't let them silence me." I closed the notebook, shut my eyes, feeling like everything in this house was spinning. Work, mockery, silence, but I knew I had to stand firm. The next morning, I woke before anyone, Seattle's rain still pattering outside. I tucked Thomas's notebook into my bag first, like a talisman shielding me from what lay ahead. I didn't look in the mirror as I left. This wasn't about looking good or impressing anyone. I just needed to know if my name, my real name, still meant anything in NovaTech's boardroom. I went straight to the notice board near the main meeting room, where printed schedules were posted. And as I feared, my name was there. But changed. No longer Danny Fosty, lead presenter. Instead, NovaAI presentation team. Claire Morgan, Ethan Lee, Rachel Kim, Daniel Foster, no longer the lead, no longer my NovaAI. The project I'd poured my heart into for a year. My stomach tightened, bit by bit. I entered the meeting room, my shoes clicking softly on the polished wood floor. A few colleagues were already there, chatting lively. Claire Morgan leaned against the conference table, tossing her hair, laughing with Ethan. I cleared my throat, approaching the young woman managing the event, a clipboard in her hand. "Excuse me," I said quietly, pointing to the schedule. "There's a mistake. I didn't agree to join the presentation team." She looked up, shrugged. "Oh, they said you switched. It's better for the group, right?" My voice caught. "I didn't switch." She blinked, then nodded toward Claire. "Ask her." She brought the new slides. I stood frozen, staring at Claire across the room. She caught my gaze, but didn't stop smiling. No wave, no blink, just a tilt of her head, as if I didn't exist. I didn't confront her. I turned away. The hallway, colder than ever. I walked straight to the break area behind the office, where a few old chairs and a window overlooked the rain. From there, I heard Claire start rehearsing, her voice booming through the speakers, smooth, flashy. My slides, my ideas, now twisted into a gaudy performance, full of colorful charts and empty buzzwords. My favorite line, the one I wrote to explain NovaAI's mission, was now read aloud by Ethan, with an exaggerated tone, like it was an advertising slogan. I rubbed my temples, trying to breathe through the sharp pain behind my eyes. I opened Thomas's notebook. My hands trembled slightly as I flipped to the next blank page. Below yesterday's words, I wrote, "If they won't let me speak, I'll speak so loud they have to hear." Not a challenge. Not yet, but not surrender either. When I got home, the smell of reheated food filled the kitchen. Sarah Thompson, my wife, was busy with work, not noticing me walk in. Lily Foster, my daughter, was video calling friends, discussing nail polish colors and how they radiate presentation energy. I closed the study door, pulled out the original NovaAI slides I'd made months ago, and pinned them to the bulletin board in the corner. Then I opened my laptop, pulling up an old email from Thomas, where he wrote, "Your work is a light, Daniel. Don't let anyone dim it." His voice, though just a memory, was still warm, clear. I couldn't sleep that night. Seattle's rain fell steadily outside the window, pattering like a melody that never stopped. I sat in the study chair, Thomas Bennett's notebook open before me, the desk lamp casting light on the words I wrote last night. "If they won't let me speak, I'll speak so loud they have to hear." But now, those words felt like an empty promise. I knew I had to do something, but my hands shook every time I thought about standing before the board, and international partners, with Danny Fosty still haunting NovaTech Solutions' internal board. The next morning, I went to the office with a vague plan. I wanted to meet Miss Linda, the project manager. Again, hoping she'd give me a chance to present my original slides. The hallway was still cold, the faint coffee smell from the break room, mixing with old printer ink. I passed the forgotten printer, my hand brushing its lid like a ritual, as if it could keep me grounded. When I reached the main meeting room, Miss Linda was organizing papers, a steaming coffee mug on the table. "Linda," I began, my voice low but trying to stay calm. "I want to talk about the presentation slides. They were changed without anyone asking me." She looked at me over her glasses, sighing like I was a bother. "Daniel, you know the presentation team needs consistency. Claire made new slides, better for the group." I shook my head, trying to keep my voice steady. "But those were my ideas. I wasn't asked." Miss Linda shrugged, jotting something with her pen. "You should feel lucky to still be involved, Daniel. Don't complicate things." Her words hit like a slap. "I want to present my own slides," I said, my voice firmer than I expected. "Can I borrow the projector?" She smirked, a half-pitying smile. "You don't need a projector, Daniel. This isn't an international conference." Behind me, a few colleagues had entered, overhearing. A young guy, probably from marketing, mimicked pressing keys on a broken computer, making fake beep 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 sounds. "Can Danny fix the projector?" He laughed loudly. All day, I was quiet as a shadow. I didn't eat lunch, didn't check emails, though I knew the group chat was likely flooded with mocking messages. I opened Thomas's notebook, flipped to a blank page and wrote, "They took my ideas, but not my voice." I pinned the original slides to the board, pages I'd made with all my heart. Then I opened Thomas's old email, where he wrote, "Your work is a light, Daniel. Don't let anyone dim it." The rain still fell outside like a silent friend keeping me company. When I closed the laptop, I looked at the program on the desk. I grabbed a pen, writing in the corner. "I won't let them have the last laugh." Not a challenge, but a promise to myself. Before bed, I stopped by Lily's room. She was asleep, her phone still glowing on the desk. I saw a small note by her bed, her messy handwriting. "Dad's the best, don't let anyone make you doubt." I folded the note, keeping it in my pocket. It didn't erase the fear, but it was enough to keep me going. I returned to my room, watching Sarah sleep, her breathing steady. She didn't know what was happening, but I knew she'd be there when I needed her. I lay down, eyes on the quietly spinning ceiling fan, feeling like everything work, mockery, pressure was swirling around me. But I wouldn't let it pull me under. That morning, I arrived at NovaTech Solutions early, wearing a plain blue shirt, no suit, no tie, like a statement that I didn't need flashiness. Thomas's notebook was in my bag, along with a USB holding the new slides. The central meeting room was ready. Rows of chairs neatly arranged, cold LED lights shining on the polished wooden table. The board, Japanese and German partners, and colleagues began filling the seats. I stood behind the meeting room door, heart beating lightly but steadily, hands gripping the bag strap. Ryan Patel, the IT guy, appeared with a subtle smile. He handed me a backup USB, whispering, "The projector might act up. Use this if needed." I nodded, thanked him, but didn't ask more. They called my name, or rather, Daniel F. The room's lights dimmed, murmurs spreading. I stepped out, notebook in one hand, USB in the other. I took a breath, then buzzed. The projector let out a shrill noise, and went dead. The screen showed only a blue void with no signal. I glanced at Ryan in the corner. He shrugged, hands up as if to say, "I tried." Giggles erupted from the third row, where Claire Morgan sat with a few colleagues. Then a voice, not loud but clear enough. Danny Fosty broke the machine again. The laughter spread, not big, but sharp as a knife. And then the screen behind me flickered on. Not my slides. A video of me sitting in the break area last week, muttering about NovaAI alone, unaware I was being recorded. Someone added effects, beep beep, computer error sounds, an animated laptop smoking, and glittering text. Danny Fosty, comedy engineer from the basement. The room erupted in laughter. I walked to the edge of the conference table, slowly, carefully setting the USB down, like it was fragile. Then, no projector, no slides, no backup. I began to speak. NovaAI isn't just software. I said, my voice shaky but clear. It's an answer to the future, a future where technology serves people, not just profits. For a moment, the laughter stopped. Someone in the back row shushed their neighbor. But then, ding, someone's phone pinged, chairs shifted, murmurs returned. I didn't stop. I told them why I built NovaAI. So my daughter Lily could grow up in a world where technology isn't just code but hope. I explained how NovaAI analyzes data to forecast environmental changes, helping communities prepare for climate shifts. I had no charts, just my knowledge and story. A Japanese partner, Mr. Tanaka, interrupted. How do you ensure forecast accuracy? I answered, drawing on 15 years of experience, citing a specific past project. He nodded, jotting notes. The room went quiet. I felt their eyes shift, no more pity, no more mockery. I ended with Thomas's words. Technology isn't strong because it's complex, but because of the heart behind it. Then I opened my notebook, holding it up to show the old program, with Danny Fosty and the broken computer icon. I held it for 3 seconds, not to explain, not to accuse, just to show. A few people lowered their heads, maybe in shame. I lowered my hand. At first, no one reacted, just breathing and dim light. Then Miss Linda, the project manager, stood. A director, a German partner. Then the whole room, they stood, clapping, not out of doubt, but because they heard me. For the first time, I wasn't a joke. I didn't bow, didn't wave. I just said, softly but clearly, "Thank you for truly listening." When I left the meeting room, NovaTech Solutions hallway felt quieter than usual. No giggles, no mocking glances. Just my shoes clicking softly on the glossy tiles, and Seattle's rain pattering outside. I didn't expect apologies or instant recognition. I just wanted to go home, sit with Sarah Thompson and Lily Foster, let family warmth melt the chill lingering from the presentation. But something was happening, quietly, out of my sight. I didn't know that. In the meeting room, Megan Harper, a junior colleague from data analytics, had silently recorded my entire presentation. Not the mocking video, with beep, beep sounds and a smoking laptop. But me, standing there, no projector, no slides, just my raw voice and the story of NovaAI. Megan posted the video on the company's internal network, with the title, Daniel Foster, The Heart of NovaAI. No effects, no edits, just the truth. Within hours, the video spread across the office. Colleagues watched it during breaks, in the cafeteria, even in the bathroom between meetings. I didn't know about it yet, but I felt the shift. As I walked through the data science hallway after lunch, the laughter didn't echo anymore. The glances that passed me weren't sharp. A guy from IT, hands in his hoodie pockets, gave me a slight nod, as if he wanted to say something. Near the end of the day, a girl from Claire Morgan's team, who once laughed at the name Danny Fosty, approached me by the filing cabinet where I stood. I saw the real video. She said, her voice soft, "Sorry for laughing before. It wasn't fair." I blinked, caught off guard. "Thank you," I whispered, "for listening." That was it. I didn't smile, but inside, a knot began to loosen. Word spread fast. Even those who never liked me didn't know how to treat me anymore. I was no longer a joke. I was the one who stood up, spoke the truth, and made the whole meeting room applaud. I ran into Claire that afternoon, near the coffee machine. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, hair flicked lightly as always. But this time, her sweet smile lacked its sharp edge. "You should thank me," she said, her voice trying to stay in control. "I mean, exposure is exposure, right?" I looked at her, just for a moment, then said softly, "You taught me how to stand still when people throw stones." She smirked, as if satisfied. I added, steady as steel. "Now I know how to stand taller." Her smile faltered, and I walked away. That evening, when I got home, Sarah was waiting at the kitchen table. Her eyes were gentle but worried, as if she sensed something big had happened. "You okay?" she asked, her voice light. I stood in the doorway, shirt wrinkled, Lily's note still in my pocket. "I'm okay," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "And I know what I need to do next." Sarah nodded, not pressing further, but her hand grasped mine. Enough to let me know she was always there. What I didn't expect was that Megan's video had gone beyond NovaTech. A colleague forwarded it through internal email, and by day's end it reached the partners. Mr. Tanaka, the Japanese partner, emailed me. "You are the soul of NovaAI. Daniel, we look forward to working together." A German director, Miss Mueller, wrote, "Thank you for reminding me why technology needs a heart." Those words, short but sincere, made me freeze in my study, the desk lamp casting light on my laptop. When I went to Lily's room, she was on her bed, earbuds still in. I saw a new note on her desk. "Dad did it." I knew it. I folded the note, keeping it with the old one. I went downstairs to the kitchen, where Sarah was brewing tea. She looked at me, smiled, and said nothing. But that smile was enough to tell me I hadn't just presented. I changed how people saw me, and how I saw myself. Before bed, I opened Thomas's notebook, flipping to the last page. I wrote, "They tried to bury me, but I made them listen." I didn't need to explain anything more. I wrote because I could. I closed the notebook, turned off the light, and for the first time in weeks, I slept without the shadow of Danny Fosty. I knew though, they laughed, though they wanted me silent. I had spoken, not loudly, but clearly, and someone somewhere had heard. The morning after the presentation, NovaTech Solutions' office felt different. The mocking whispers were gone. The sneering glances vanished. Instead, a guy from analytics, who once laughed at Danny Fosty, gave me a slight nod. No words, just a quick nod, but enough to make me feel I wasn't invisible anymore. I stopped by the internal notice board, where my misspelled name once stood. Now a new image was pinned at the top. Me in the meeting room, holding my notebook, window light on my shoulder. Below, handwritten in marker, Daniel Foster, leader of NovaAI, Silent Impact Award, voted by colleagues. That evening, Sarah Thompson waited for me at the kitchen table. She didn't ask anything, just looked at me with gentle eyes. Lily Foster was upstairs, but left another note on the table. "Dad's a superhero." I smiled, keeping the note with the strangers. I opened Thomas's notebook, wrote one line. They laughed, but I made them listen. This journey didn't start when I saw Danny Fosty on NovaTech Solutions' internal board. It began long ago, from days I doubted myself, From times I chose silence, fearing ridicule. But Mark Sullivan and Claire Morgan, though they meant to humiliate me, unwittingly gave me a stage. They thought I'd fall, but I stood firm, not with flash, but with truth. I remembered Thomas's words, "When they laugh, let your work speak." I did that, and the whole meeting room listened. I opened the notebook, turned to the final page. I wrote, "When they want you silent, speak louder. When they laugh, let your work speak. When they listen, know your voice has power." I underlined it, not for emphasis, but to remind myself this wasn't just my lesson, but for anyone pushed into the shadows. I thought of Ryan Patel, who thanked me for speaking for those behind the scenes. And I thought of Lily, the girl who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I stood, walked to the window, watching rain fall on Seattle streets. I was no longer Danny Fosty, no longer a joke. I was Daniel Foster, who turned mockery into strength, who made the meeting room stand and clap. But more, I was the man who learned that a sincere voice, however small, can echo far. I tucked the notebook into my bag, ready for tomorrow. A new meeting, a new challenge. I wasn't afraid anymore. I carried Thomas's words, Lily's note, and the silence of those who heard me. Sometimes they'll laugh at you. They'll try to silence you, make you doubt. But when you speak from the heart, when you stand firm, though your legs shake, someone will always listen. I closed my eyes, letting the rain wash away the last traces of fear. I'd found my voice, and I wouldn't let it fade. Daniel Foster's story at NovaTech Solutions in Seattle reflects the pressures and opportunities in today's competitive U.S. workplaces, where tech company culture often favors young, dynamic individuals ready to showcase themselves. Daniel, a 45-year-old senior engineer, was pushed into a tough spot by colleagues like Claire Morgan and boss Mark Sullivan, with the misspelled Danny Fosty on the internal board, and public mockery via a secretly recorded video. These details evoke realities in America, where pressure to shine in meetings or presentations can overshadow quiet workers, especially older employees in tech, where the workforce's average age is often under 35. Daniel's isolation at home, with Sarah and Lily initially unaware of his stress, also mirrors America's busy lifestyle, where personal relationships sometimes take a back seat to work. The lesson from Daniel's story is, in a society that values flash, sincerity and expertise can still make a difference if you persist. Daniel not only overcame the projector failure by presenting NovaAI from the heart, tied to his dreams for his daughter, but also turned mockery into opportunity through Megan Harper's authentic video. This encourages Americans, especially in high-pressure workplaces, to trust their worth, even when underestimated. Prepare thoroughly like Daniel with his original slides, find allies like Ryan Patel, and seize small moments, like Lily's note to keep moving forward. Please subscribe to explore inspiring stories like Daniel Foster's journey, and share your thoughts on finding your voice under pressure. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video with more heartfelt lessons.